Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah al-Kareem. Welcome back to our second episode of Lives of Adornments. I'm your host, Yusuf Korma, where we will be discussing the essential nature of child uprearing and investing in our dunya and both in our akhirah. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayat ad-dunya. So we will be discussing how to uprear children. What does the process begin? What is the roadmap to rearing children? As we know, when we are building a building, the most important thing is the foundation. So how do we set our foundation for uprearing children? And we have with us today our wonderful guest, Sheikh Assim Hakeem. And Sheikh Assim is a teacher at Zad Academy, and he is also a teacher at the Knowledge International University, and he has been an imam and a teacher for over 30 years. So it's our honor and our privilege to have you, Sheikh Assim. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and jazakumullahu khairan for having me.
Ameen wa ayyak. So without further ado, inshallah ta'ala, we would like to know, what is the roadmap for effective child rearing?
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa alihi wa sahbihi man ihtada bihuda. It goes without saying that extramarital relationships in Islam are totally prohibited. Not only in Islam, in Christianity, in Judaism, anything that is outside the institution of marriage is prohibited.
Yes.
So Islam directs and channels us to getting married. And there are so many ahadith highlighting this issue of getting married and selecting the right spouse. So in order to have children, you cannot have children by artificially seminating, for example. And this is a trend that some women are doing. They want children, but they don't want to get married. So they get a donor to donate their sperms, and they conceive out of that. This is totally prohibited in Islam. Islam is a religion of nature. So marriage is between a man and a wife and a woman. We don't have any abnormal things. So when a man gets in contact with another man, this is homosexuality. This is not marriage. And it's not accepted in any religion on earth, to my knowledge, unless they've invented something just to please the LGBT, QSWR, whatever they call them now. And a relationship between a woman and a woman is not marriage. So the natural thing is for a man to get married to a woman. Now, each one has to wisely select his or her partner. And Islam did not let things loose. Alhamdulillah, it governed it. So in the beginning, you're interested in having righteous offspring, select your spouse wisely. How would I do that? Well, when it comes to a woman who's someone proposing to, Islam tells the guardian to check on two things or three. One, his religious practice, his religious commitment. So is he a practicing Muslim, or he's a loose individual? And this is also debatable in the levels we have. So do you, Sheikh, mean that he has to be an imam, an acknowledged, a renowned da'i? He has to be a person who memorizes the Quran. He has to be a teacher in a masjid. These are all parts of his religious commitment, but not all. So first, he has to be someone who walks the talk. If I look at him, he does not sin openly. Because a person who prays 5 times a day, who fasts Ramadan, who goes for Hajj and gives zakat, is a Muslim. There are 1.8 billion Muslims. But are they all religiously practicing and committed? We have to look. If he's openly sinning, if he parties, though he prays, if he does things that are not accepted in Islam, such as skipping prayer with the congregation. He doesn't pray in the masjid. So how would I say that he's a practicing Muslim? If he deals with riba and works for haram occupation, such as selling alcohol or selling intoxicants in general, selling cigarettes, tobacco, haram income, dealing with the media, haram media. In this case, he is not a practicing Muslim. So there are so many things which you can judge. Not entirely, but it gives you a hint what drives this individual. So a person who prays 5 times a day and fasts Ramadan, looks religiously practicing, but works in an interest-based bank. And he is a leading figure in that bank. And he is jumping up the ladder in his career path. And he's not thinking of quitting. He doesn't he does not see anything wrong in his occupation. He's got a problem. This problem would come up later on if there's a dispute. Because whenever the spouses have a dispute, their point of reference should be Quran and Sunnah.
Yes.
So I can tell, sister, you're wrong. Or brother, this is unfair. So they come back to what can be commonly referred to, Quran and Sunnah. But if he's not a religiously practicing person, then he would not accept the ruling of Allah Azza wa Jal. So first of all, the Prophet says, إِذَا أَتَاكُم مَّن تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَأَمَانَتَهُ. And another narration, وَخُلُقَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. Whenever someone comes to you proposing, to your daughter, to your sister, whatever, and you accept his religious commitment and practice. So this is one part. The second part is أَمَانَتَهُ أَوْ خُلُقَهُ, which is being trustworthy or his moral conduct.
So can I stop you right here for a second, Sheikh? What's the distinction between his deen and his akhlaq?
There is a big difference.
Yes.
And this difference is the core problem of the Muslim community. We have so many people who are religiously committed on the surface. So I have a long beard. My thobe is short. Usually I'll be carrying my twig, my miswak. And when I talk to you, Jazakallahu khayran, Barakallahu fikum, I use Islamic words. MashaAllah, the Sheikh, this is a Sheikh. He's a practicing Muslim. I pray in a fashion that follows the prayer of the Prophet ﷺ to the letter.
Yes.
And I quote ayat, I quote a hadith. Whatever I do, I use Islam to govern my whole life. This is a Muslim who is religiously practicing. He is religiously committed. But when it comes to moral conduct, we have a big gap. So with you, I'm a good person. I joke around, I'm hospitable, if this is the right word.
Yes.
I'm generous, I'm this and that. When I go to my home, the way I treat my missus, the way I deal with my children, it shows like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality.
Yes.
When I deal with other people who are not following my manhaj, as they call it, or the way I think or believe, I treat them as vicious reptiles. And I consider whatever comes from them is venom. This is not the proper way. You have to go, it has to go side by side. And the role model is the Prophet ﷺ. How did he deal with disbelievers? How did he deal with sinners, openly sinning? How did he deal with those who committed major sins, like fornication? Would he swear at them, curse them, or try to have them repent instead of coming to him and asking for capital punishment or whatever?
Yes.
So this is a very important issue to take care of. Not everyone who proposes and people say, MashaAllah, he prays in the first row, he has a big beard, and he memorizes the Quran, can be a good husband to your daughter. Because if he has this split personality, if he deals differently than what the Quran and the Sunnah recommends and commands him to do, we have a big issue.
Yeah. So subhanAllah, here you find this is a major issue because people aren't able to distinguish between like a religiosity, outward religiosity, and a person that has good akhlaq. So ideally, a person that has good deen should lead to good akhlaq. It should build on a person's akhlaq, but that's not always the case. So we find people that are outwardly religious, very religious, and some, not malicious or anything. They just have these outward rigid practices, what we call performative Islam. So they know how to perform. They have the vernacular, they have the costume, but it hasn't really reached their hearts, their the things inside of them. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He made haram for us the things of the batin and the zahir. So they have the zahir, but the batin hasn't been perfected yet. So, but it's hard to look at a person and recognize that.
It is hard, but this is not the problem. The problem is that most people, and I've seen in my life, which is not very short, alhamdulillah, I've seen a lot of practicing people turning back on their heels. So many practicing people, imams, da'is, who had long beards, and boom, it went almost less than a fist length. So there's a difference of opinion among scholars whether the beard should be left alone or to cut a fist length. They are doing the fist length from top instead of the bottom. This is a sign. But then you can see that they're free mixing, that they have weird ideas, that they're teaching people deviant thoughts. What is this? 10 years ago you were doing well. Yes, but their inside is different than what's on the outside, and this is what's causing this.
Yes, Sheikh. Thank you for that beautiful answer. We're going to stop for a break, pause this episode, but we'll be back with our series of life's adornments. Please stay tuned and join us back until you come back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our second segment of Life's Adornments with Sheikh Assim. We last stopped talking about when a man comes to a family to look for a wife. What are the things that you should look for in his character? And we stopped by talking about his deen and his akhlaq. And inshallah ta'ala, you can continue, Sheikh.
Okay, so the religious commitment is important. A lot of the guardians, when someone proposes to their daughter or sister, fail to investigate and come after a couple of years complaining that the guy is a drug addict, or he abuses women, or he lies, a compulsive liar. Akhi, why didn't you ask? Who to ask, Sheikh? You have to go and check the man. Go to the masjid where he claims to pray. I remember so many times I get people coming to me and say, Sheikh, do you know so-and-so? I said, no. They say, Sheikh, he lives next to your masjid. I said, I've never seen this person. They show me his picture, and the man doesn't pray in the masjid at all. If the imam doesn't know the person, then this gives you an insight of what a person he is. So you have to do your due diligence. Ask and check his friends, his family members, his colleagues at work and at school, so that you can sketch a profile of what a person he is. Now, religious commitment we're done and through with, there is another part where the Prophet ﷺ tells us to check upon his akhlaq, his moral conduct. So you have to check his companions, his relatives, his colleagues, about how he deals with people. So if they all say, oh, he's a good person, but he's so stingy, he doesn't spend a dime, he's going to make your daughter's life miserable. Cross him out. If they say he's generous, but to the extent that he doesn't save a penny, again, this is a problem. If they say no, in expenditure, he's good. He's generous and he's kind and he saves money. He manages his financing quite well, but he has a problem with anger issues and fits. This is a total disaster. Stay away from this person. If they tell you that he doesn't fight, he doesn't shout, he doesn't scream, but he flirts with females and co-workers, and he has no problem in mixed gatherings, again, this would corrupt your daughter and influence her negatively in the future. So all of these things have to be a combination which you should look into. What is his relationship with his parents? If his parents say that he's dutiful, he's kind, he's loving, he takes his sisters places, he drives them, he takes his mother shopping, and you know that this guy is a family man. But if they say, we don't see him except for half an hour once a week, now this is bad news, and so on.
So I think theoretically it makes sense. You have a list of things that you're looking for, but isn't it really difficult to reduce a person just to a list of things, not truly understanding the fullness of their humanity? Perhaps a person has these deficiencies, but they're working on it, something they're getting better over time. Or do you immediately look at the red flags and say no? Or are there some considerations that you can make, some like a lead way a person, you know, he prays the salah on time, he has a good akhlaq, but as you said, he's a flirt, or he has these little deficiencies in his character, and how do you know when to break and when to sort of give lead way?
There are red flags.
Yes.
So if someone tells me that this individual flares up in seconds and he has anger issues, rage issues, I would definitely not wait for him to develop and improve, because I'm not willing to gamble with my daughter's life and marriage. But there are things that, okay, I may not compromise in this day and age. If someone is, for example, not praying in the masjid, but is well known to be praying on time. So I may compromise because the demand is far less than the supply. If you raise the bar and keep it high, you end up not getting your daughter married. So you have to go a little bit down, but there are red lines you cannot cross. So someone who flirts, someone who has anger issues, someone who is unable to communicate, it's only Simon says, someone who has weird ideas, and this comes in the beginning. When someone comes, and I've seen so many things, I do a lot of marriage counseling between the spouses, so I see a lot of this on daily basis. Someone goes and proposes, and he asks the woman he's proposing to, and in the presence of her guardian, are you a virgin? Have you ever had sexual relationships? I would take my shoe and beat the heck out of him out of my home. This is inappropriate. You are in a respected family's house, and you're asking a woman who did not marry before if she's a virgin or not. This is inappropriate, un-Islamic. If the person from the initial interview comes and says, listen, I'm interested in marrying, your guardian is here, but you're not the only one I'm going to marry. I'm going to take 2 or 3 wives in the future. This is a lunatic. He's not even capable of thinking straight. Akhi, you want to get married in the future? Let that come at the future, not now. So there are things, there are signs that makes it or breaks it. And this is what a father should be aware of.
Okay, so we talked about when the male comes to seek the hand of the daughter, of the sister, or likewise. What about the event when a man is looking for a spouse? What are some things that he should look for when seeking a righteous wife?
Well, the Prophet ﷺ told us in an authentic hadith that a woman is sought after for 4 reasons: for her wealth, for her lineage, for her beauty, and for her religious commitment. So choose the one with the religious commitment, or may you be holding something like dust in your hands, meaning nothing. Now, the Prophet is not telling us choose someone who is religiously committed, who's ugly, poor, and from a bad family. No, he's saying that this should be your measuring tool, the religion. And if she's Miss Universe, wow, that beats everything.
Right.
And if she's wealthy and an orphan at the same time, inherited billions, you've got it made. And if she's from a reputable lineage and family, alhamdulillah, this is heaven. But usually these 4 are only found in Jannah with the Hur al-Ain. So the most you should focus on is her religious commitment. It goes without saying that also her moral conduct goes side by side.
Yes.
Because sometimes you choose a woman who's a hijabi, who's a niqabi, who wears gloves, black from head to toe, nothing is seen, mashallah, excellent. But her moral conduct is 0. She does not respect her husband. She is always cursing and using abusive words. She has rage fits. And this you cannot stay married to, and you can definitely not expect her to raise good children. So you have to do what people call in management 360 examination and profiling. So you have to ask her colleagues, her parents, her elders, and those who are under her, so that you can make a good idea of who you're getting engaged to.
Okay, last question. Typically in Muslim, Islamic societies, you find people getting married rather quickly. So if a courting process is, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, a year, which is, not the norm, how are you within this constrained time able to assess a person's character and their ability to be a good spouse?
The essence of all what we do in life is trusting Allah. To have full tawakkul and dependence and reliance on Allah Azza wa Jal.
Yes.
This doesn't mean at all that you do not do your due diligence. But at the end of the day, your heart is connected with Allah, even after all the investigation you had done and committed. It's like buying a watermelon. So it's green from the outside. You knock it here, knock it there. By the sound, you can try to guess whether it's red, sweet, or white and bitter. And you only know that after you open it. In marriage, it's almost the same. We don't have any engagement period, or let's say dating period. So it's not me dating a woman for 3 months, and then if there's chemistry, we're compatible, we get married. Because I had an American friend who we used to go to the gym together and work out, and this guy was like in his late 30s, early 40s. And every time I see him, he's a Christian. And I say, you're not married yet, man. What's wrong with you? He said, no, I'm still looking for the right one. And I keep telling him, Akhi, he's not Akhi, sorry. This is for you. I keep telling him, the right one will never come. Now show me your black book, your address, contact agendas, just for out of curiosity. How many girls that you've dated and seen? So many. So, by the way you're doing, you'll never get married. In Islam, it's different. In Islam, you do your due diligence. They tell you this is a good girl. You ask around. You propose. You see her. She sees you. and then there's chemistry. You hope for the best and you get married. 99.9%, and this is a big percentage,
Yes.
things work out. I got married with the grace of Allah 36 years ago in the same fashion. And I'm still happily married. I don't know my wife prior to the engagement, and I don't have anything. We get to know one another till date. And we live like this because I have shortcomings, so whenever she does have her own shortcomings, I always look at mine and say, touche. So I accept her for who she is, she accepts me for who I am, and we live, inshallah, in love and happiness.
Alhamdulillah, that's amazing advice, Sheikh. May Allah bless you and reward you.
Ameen.
Unfortunately, this is the end of our segment today. Thank you for sharing with us all your knowledge.
Jazakumullah.
For our viewers, inshallah, stay tuned with us for our next episode of Life's Adornments. We hope that you benefited. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.